reflection today is based on Matthew chapter 10. And Matthew chapter 10 starts off like this. Jesus called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out evil spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. So he's sending his disciples out to spread the good news of Jesus, of the kingdom, and giving them the authority to be able to heal and deal with evil spirits. He gives them instructions. He says, don't take anything extra with you. You don't have to take extra money. You don't have to take extra clothing. Just go as you are. And then he says, I'm sending you out like sheep among wolves. Now that does not sound very encouraging. I mean, sheep are absolutely defenceless animals and wolves are quite offensive. When you think about it, the wolf represents this world and how this world likes power and uses power and violence sometimes to assert itself and its authority. Whereas Jesus says, I don't want you to go out like that. I want you to go out in peace and love, just as you are. When you think about it, when Jesus came to this earth, that area of the Middle East was at peace. Right around the Mediterranean was at peace, and there was trade between countries and people could move freely between countries because Rome controlled all that area. And they often call this the time of the Roman peace, Pax Romana. But how did Rome keep that peace? They kept it by brutality. If anyone wanted to go against what Rome said, they'd be crucified. And the crucifixions would be put along roads so that people walking past would see, if you defy Rome, this is what's going to happen to you. They also had great control of the army, because if anyone in the army disobeyed or rebelled in any way, they'd line up the regiment, the whole regiment, and every 10th soldier would be killed. That's where we get the word decimation from. So they kept control by absolute fear and cruelty. Now into that world, into that peace, came Jesus, the Prince of Peace. And he came into a little village that hardly anyone had heard of. He came as a little baby. Jesus came in peace. He never used force. Even when he was arrested, it tells us in Matthew, I think it's Matthew 26, that he was arrested at night while he was in the garden with his disciples, and they came out with guards, all armed with weapons. And it says, Peter, or this is one of the 12 actually, reached out for his sword, drew it, and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. And Jesus said, no, Peter, put back your sword. That's not the way we do it. He says, don't you think that I could call on my Father and he will at once put at my disposal a whole legion of angels, or 12 legions of angels it is? See, Jesus came in complete peace. He never, ever used any form of force. And think about it. In the world today, where's the Roman Empire? Well, its ruins are all around the Mediterranean, but there's no Roman Empire. But the followers of Jesus are right around the world, in their millions and millions. Jesus came in peace. He never used the force of the world. You say, okay, well, that's Jesus and he was God, so what about us? Well, he sends us out in his authority, but he says, go as you are. You don't have to take a brass band with you. You don't have to take a diploma in evangelism. Go as you are. Yes, it'll feel like you're a bit like a sheep among wolves. You won't have great offensive weapons, but you will have great power because you have me working within you. And we can see what happened on the early disciples, 12 people and then other followers of Jesus, and that message spread right throughout the world. And today it's in just about every country of the world. The message of peace. And then Jesus says, do not be afraid. So we go back to chapter 10. And he says this, Do not be afraid of them. So he's saying, don't be afraid of the world. Nothing will be concealed, or nothing concealed will not be disclosed, or the hidden things will not be made known. In other words, you have something that the world needs to know, and it needs to be proclaimed. Okay, there will be opposition, and for many people in many parts of the world, the opposition is that they are put to death. People in Muslim countries, many of them, if they become Christian, the family at least puts them out of the family, won't speak to them again, and in many cases they want to kill them. Why do people face such persecution? It's because there's something greater, something that they know in themselves that's far greater than just being alive on this earth, and it's something that's worth standing up for. And we have the witness of some people who have been tortured for their faith, saying how the presence of God was just so strong. And there's one particular guy who talks about being put in solitary confinement because of his faith in Jesus, and how every night he felt the presence of God so close to him that he couldn't help himself but get up and dance around his cell. See, if we stand up for Jesus, he stands up for us, and he will be very close to us, and we will realise and see that what is more important than just being alive on this earth is being with our God. And so as he sends us out, he says, you don't have to get all prepared with all the knowledge and all the books and everything that you need. You just go as you are, and go in peace. Don't use force or any of the world's ways of forcing other people. Just go as you are, trusting in the power of God, because he gives you that power. Now, we might say, well, Jesus was able to do it because he was God. In Philippians 2, we read, Jesus, being the very nature of God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking on the very nature of the servant. In other words, he had the very nature of God, but he didn't bring with him on earth all his powers as God. So why could he do what he did? He did because of his obedience, because of his nature. He was like a completely clean pipe that could be filled with water and be gushing with water. So when the Holy Spirit came through, there was nothing to stop the work of the Holy Spirit. We unfortunately have many clogs in our pipe, many things that we've done wrong, attitudes that aren't right, and so on. So we're not a pure pipe for the Holy Spirit to flow through. So therefore, what we do seems to be much more limited. But when you see somebody who's really, really close to God, you see the power of God at work. And this is what he wants of us, to be like Jesus, to be obedient, to be a clean pipe, so that the Holy Spirit can flow freely through us. And when he does, our message to the world will be very, very powerful.